of late, hoping to have a better first set than they did on Friday against Clemson when they dropped it 25-15. And we are ready to go here in the women's building. It's Syracuse and Georgia Tech here on a Sunday. Skylar George floats it over. And they go to Mambu right away, and the ball comes all the way to the near side, right to us. And Georgia Tech takes the first point.
Got to give a lot of credit there to Sophia Beles, the libero, with the diving dig, laying out on the right side to keep it alive and help give Georgia Tech the opening point of this match. A good start for the Yellow Jackets.
Senior from Columbia, Velez. And the block stood strong, but it was just outside, and so Georgia Tech goes up 2-0, and that is something, Spencer, that Bakir Ganesharatnam is trying to get the middles to do, is be in the right position, but also come up effective. They couldn't do so there.
It was a good wall off on the far side, but just better attack to tool it.
Here's George. Dug out, and they go to Mambu, and she slams it down. Yellow Jackets have come out storming here in set one.
Well, Mambu didn't quite have the game she wanted against Boston College, but opens up with a response. Just dominates it right at the feet of Tea Maeva.
Lamine Mambu, just a freshman from Chantilly, Virginia in the D.C. area. And Skylar George thought she got a tip from Georgia Tech, but it is ruled Yellow Jackets point. And now Coach Ganesharatnam is talking with the official, and he wants an early review.
You got it right away. You saw George. She was pumped up for sure.
Syracuse is challenging a
block
touch.
They've been feeding her early here, expecting her to maybe open up as one of the primaries. Again, we talk about how McLaughlin has been the one they've been feeding, but teams are scouting her well. They're starting to get a better feel for how she plays. So along with Waller, who we just talked about, it's got to be George as well.
So the ruling was no touch here on this last point on the kill attempt by Skylar George. And they're seeing if it grazed that left hand there. Of Deandra Pierce, I believe.
It's so close. I mean, what you're looking for a lot of times there is if there's any sort of change in spin on the ball, or if you see any fingers of the blockers make any sudden movement. It's really hard to tell from both of those angles.
So it was Pierce and Espana there at the net. So we'll see if it went off of, I believe, Pierce's left hand. That's what they're going to look at. Remember, the ruling on the court was no touch. So unless they can clearly see that it was a touch, this thing will likely stay put. So we'll see. Back to the McLaughlin thing. She's been so dominant all year, coming from Nevada, her and Tea Maeva. And for Syracuse, I think they have to game plan a little bit differently. We talked to Coach Ganesharatnam the other day, and now you can see off that last angle, maybe it did go off the right hand of one in white. See if it touches her right or left hand. Might have tipped that finger there.
I was going to say, it could be a subtle change of direction off the hit.
And that is what you want to look for there.
But it is so tough. But I mean, on the point of these attackers for Syracuse, yep, when you're feeding McLaughlin so much, it's one of the things that Coach Bake talked about in the pregame was teams are scouting her so well. That's
exactly right.
And they get a feel for where she's attacking, and he says she has to reinvent herself every single week, and that's very difficult no matter how good you are, but much less for a 5'8" hitter in Gabby McLaughlin.
All right, here's the call.
After review, the call is going to stand. Syracuse loses their challenge. Insufficient video evidence to overturn the call.
So Coach Ganesharatnam comes up empty early on, but a very good challenge to see if that went off the hand of the block. Very, very close. I just think it comes down to conclusive evidence there that they couldn't find.
Yeah, when it's that close and it takes that long, you got to feel good about making the challenge. You know,
exactly.
It's useful for Coach Bake.
4-0 lead early on for Georgia Tech. Syracuse looking for a first point. Waller off the block. And they set up. Mambu comes up with another kill for Georgia Tech. And it is all Yellow Jackets swarming into Syracuse early on in the first.
Well, this is a great attack. She just goes right over the top of Sydney Waller and Swanalea, I mean, just a huge vertical from Mimi Mambu.
Bianca Garibaldi sends it off again for Georgia Tech, the sophomore. And it goes right by her there on the kill. First point for Syracuse.
That's what Coach Bake wanted to see. Establish the middle, and this is a beautiful feed to Leia. It's a flat set, which is right where she wants it. Allows for that attack to come very fast to the defense.
5 kills, 3 attack errors for Leia against Clemson on Friday. Emma Ortiz somehow kept that thing alive. George fists it to the other side, but just a little bit too long. And this is sort of the same nature we saw on Friday. Syracuse, I think, in better position so far today, but just some mistimed, unforced errors attacking on the other side.
Yeah, and I like the idea here from George to try and target the back line. I think that Boston College was able to find some success against Georgia Tech by doing that. She just hasn't connected yet.
First service error of the game. Abby Lee, the freshman from Alpharetta, Georgia, in Atlanta, comes up empty.
And that was a story against Boston College, just 10 service errors for Georgia Tech. They only got 4 aces on the other side of that, so needing to limit those mistakes and not let Syracuse get free points today.
Free ball here for Syracuse. Ortiz bumps it to Maeva. Back to Leia. Off the block. Point for Syracuse.
We saw Leia in the middle previously, but here they go back to her on the slide. This is where she found a lot of success early in the season. Was just right off the slide, maybe going cross court, but there she chooses to tool the block.
Leia, the grad student, spent her undergrad years at UC Irvine. And some miscommunication there. George keeps it alive. Incredible effort by the Orange. Pierce, dug out by George, and it lands on Orange on the other side. Skylar George can do it all.
And that's the creativity that you need for Syracuse. It may not be exactly how they drew it up, but it's a result of discipline, a great dig, and to know where you're going to put it is perfect from Skylar George.
Well, service error for George after a miraculous point. The Orange down by 3 to the Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech, a squad that has been ranked in parts of the season. 21st overall, the highest in collegiate volleyball. Maeva to McLaughlin. Dug up. Sophia Velez has had a couple of nice digs so far. Ortiz does it on the other side for Syracuse. Here's a free ball for the Yellow Jackets. Federowicz again. George helps. Longest rally so far. And it's blocked. Sawana Leia there again for Syracuse.
Those are the rallies that the Orange need to win. When Coach Bake was talking about how late in the season your team starts to get worn down physically, they get worn down mentally as well, and those longer volleys are ones that you need to win for morale.
Orange hanging around down by 2 to the Yellow Jackets. Syracuse took a set from Miami last weekend. So Georgia Tech extends the lead 8-5.
Seen the blockers for Syracuse get into really good positions to start this game. I mean, Georgia Tech's attack is going to be really strong. They're going to find a lot of ways to tool the block, but for Syracuse, getting the blockers in position is half the battle. From there, at some point, it's up to the Georgia Tech hitters, and they're just very good.
Velez sends it off. And that's off the block. Noemi DeSpagna comes up with the kill for Georgia Tech. Freshman from Italy, and a great kill there for her.
It's so impressive for a freshman to be able to find the tool off of McLaughlin coming in from the back row. That's precision.
Gabby McLaughlin finds herself early in the first set. Someone that had a really tough start to the day against Clemson on Friday. We mentioned Syracuse dropped that opening set to Clemson. They hit negative .38 5 kills, 6 attack errors. McLaughlin, someone that had a really tough start in that game.
Yeah, they need to get her going early, so that's a good kill for her to find.
Fedorowicz right in front of George, and the Yellow Jackets add another. Got to credit the Orange, hanging around. Took them a minute to get their first point, down 5-0, but since then they've been battling back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, when you start off down 4-0 and you're still within 4, 10 points later, it's just a testament to how scrappy this team is.
Fedorowicz off the block, saved by Yamada. And McLaughlin keeps it in. Well, Gabby already has pinpointed her attacks much better than they were right off the bat on Friday.
And she's doing it by finding good spots on the floor. I mean, she sees all that open space right in front of your screen there. Previously, she went to the back line, and that's what Coach Bake's talking about, having to reinvent herself, find all those new spots.
And Coach Ganesh Ranam had to move her a bunch in that opening set. That one's out. Syracuse makes it a 2-point game.
Just a great read from Yamada on the far side of the court to let that one go.
The captain McLaughlin from Temecula, California, in between LA and San Diego. And Anya Fedorowicz with the kill there for Georgia Tech. Leads the team in that department in ACC play. And she had a pretty good game on Friday against Boston College. 12 kills, just 2 errors. And a fairly easy kill there for Bianca Garibaldi.
Yeah, she's going to take advantage of that every time, and nobody really there for Syracuse. It's one of those where you're late to the block, so you might as well go down, get ready to try and make a dig, but just too good of a player to let that slip.
McLaughlin from the back, and that one's just a little bit out, but you got to like the placement once again.
Yeah, and a lot of these Syracuse attacks that have missed the box have been very close. They're dialing up good spots. It's just a matter of getting a couple more to connect, and if you do, I mean, this thing's a totally different ball game here in the first.
Orange down 5. Yamada goes off the tape. Syracuse just has to get it over. And how about George here in this first set? Having some kills that aren't exactly by high-flying fashion, but just placing them where the other team isn't.
Adapt and adjust. That's the philosophy of this offense. Just find a way to get it done. And George has very good vision, so that won't be the last you see of her just finding a soft spot on the floor.
That IQ and maturity is something that Coach Bake has been happy about since her entrance to Syracuse last year after transferring from Utah. And Sydney Waller on the outside. One of those other options that Coach Bake can go to.
Yeah, I mentioned she's one of the few returning upperclassmen. Actually got to play against Georgia Tech for Syracuse last season. Had a really good game, so she's got some familiar faces on the other side looking for another big night.
Garibaldi, we talked about it a few moments ago at the top. Just 5'11", but the way she can jump up and slam it in a more vertical direction than a longer plane is really impressive.
Yeah, and you see the athleticism and just the body awareness. I mean, when that set's a little bit behind her, she gets totally sprawled out, but still converts.
And that one goes off for that time. Leia caught her on her heels. Syracuse within 3.
And I think this is what the offense for Syracuse was looking for. A lot of players getting involved right now early. George, Leia, Waller, McLaughlin. Finding ways to get it done outside of just your top 2.
Dug out by Ortiz. McLaughlin pushes it, and it's a little bit too long. So the Orange trail by 4. Georgia Tech leads 15-11. And we got a timeout on the floor. Syracuse took a minute to get its first point, but they're hanging in there with the Yellow Jackets trying to break a 4-game skid here in Salt. So this is not only a very international team on the roster, but the coaching staff as well, having a big influence there from South America into Atlanta. Georgia Tech by 4 out of the timeout here in the first set. Off the block, and a kill awarded to Deandra Pierce, one of the non-international players on the roster for Georgia Tech, the grad student from Austin, Texas.
spent her first couple of seasons at UT, actually has a ring, won a national championship with the Longhorns. Didn't play in that season, but still got to soak in a lot of experience from some of the best players in the country and world.
Also has one of the most experienced tenures against Syracuse. She's faced Syracuse 3 times after a high-powered kill by Sawana Leia. She's been really impressive here in the opening set, Spencer.
She has a couple now off the slide and just taking it right down the line. Not a lot Velez can do with that.
Blocked. And Pierce tried to stay with it, but couldn't. You mentioned that national championship with Texas for Deandra Pierce. She's faced Syracuse 3 times to go along with Eloise Suarez. And Pierce had 10 kills against the Cuse last year, 6 the year before, and really was a big transfer pickup at the time for Georgia Tech, even though she did not play for Texas that season after Skylar George comes up with a service ace.
That's a great target from George. She got a little help off the tape, but when you pride yourself on aggressive serving and you target just the top of that net, that'll happen.
Backs it up with an error. George all around, though, a much better start and performance so far than she'd had last time against Georgia Tech in last year's game. 0 kills, 4 errors for George, but she's responded so far in the opening set.
And Georgia Tech maybe a little bit of a stronger team at that point in the season last year. They were the 15th ranked team in the country. Again, just battling to try and stay in that receiving vote spot this week.
And Leia, another kill for Syracuse. Number 5 for her.
She's just executing well right now. I mean, Coach Bake talked about how against Clemson they didn't quite execute as well as they wanted. She gets the one-on-one matchup there and just takes it right to the back row.
UC Irvine the first 4 years for Leia, grad student here at Syracuse. Off the block and a point for Georgia Tech. Leia, someone who's been impressive so far for the Orange. Had different roles at UC Irvine. Wasn't always a starter, and Coach Ganesh-Ratnam was also excited about her because of the maturity and for her to use that time to grow as a player, carried her into Syracuse, and now she looks more prepared than ever here today. Maeva and Ortiz and Harris Waddy were going for that one. Some miscommunication there for Syracuse, and those are some of the errors that you just can't really afford to have here against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it all comes back to execution, right? I mean, Taya Maeva, of course, is very stable, a great, consistent setter, but those uncharacteristic mistakes certainly come back to bite.
McLaughlin, dug out by Laura Bialeski. Ortiz to Maeva. Georgia Tech in system. Garibaldi fakes the slam by Bialeski, and Georgia Tech, despite some miraculous effort, comes up empty, and Syracuse at the point.
This is a great job by Harris Waddy just to own the middle. She's the other one that can really step up in that spot for Coach Ganesh-Ratnam when he asks his team to get involved in the block. Harris Waddy just does it all alone.
Well, the middle blockers have been in position. Just some unforced hits off the block, really.
Yeah, that's Fedorovich
That's
again.
the name of the game, too. You know?
Right. For for Fedorovich again, I mean, we talked about her earlier, but she's got double-digit kills in 10 of the last 12 matches. She's on pace to do it again here. Just an all-around tough player to stop.
A battle at the net. Espana, cross court, and a point for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, they've certainly responded here in the back half of set 1, out to a 5-point lead off this kill, just avoiding the block, taking it just between Skylar George and Taya Maeva. Great placement towards the back line.
Syracuse uses its first timeout here in the opening set, down by 5 to Georgia Tech. If you're a coach, Bakir Ganesh-Ratnam, you gotta like the way your teams come out as far as not only the effort, but some of the execution compared to what they did against Clemson on Friday.
Right, and one of the things that he said was, with the wear and tear that comes in the back half of the season, this team hasn't given up by any means, right? They're still coming out. They're fighting for every point that they play, and I think that you're seeing that right now. Again, good position with the blocks. They're targeting great spots on the floor with the attacks, but the execution just a touch behind. And unfortunately, against a team like Georgia Tech, they're going to be able to take advantage of it.
And for Syracuse against Clemson, 21 attack errors on Friday. Just a slow start. Yes, they won that second set, but it was not the way that Syracuse has been known to play, especially for a year where they've got 5 ACC wins. Things have been rolling. Yes, on a skid a little bit as of late, but you got to like the way the Orange are playing. And for Georgia Tech, I think they got to credit Boston College with the way they performed in that game. Ended up hitting 323 in the opening set, which was the lowest mark out of the 4 sets. They ended with 424 in that last set. And you can see some of those hitting percentages there from Georgia Tech, from Deandra Pierce and Bianca Garibaldi. It's not like Georgia Tech played that bad. Boston College played really well.
No, and that's kind of exactly what Coach Collier said. I mean, you have 2 career highs right there for Deandra Pierce and Bianca Garibaldi, but Boston College is they're a good team, and they showed up on Friday night. They're great at home. They were able to upset Georgia Tech in a big win.
BC 5-8. Georgia Tech comes into today with a 7-6 ACC record. The Orange 5-8.
It's just the way the ACC goes, right? I mean, you can hit over 300 in a match and still lose 3 sets to 1.
It's incredible. Best conference in volleyball. Fiodorowicz slams it down for GT.
She's just unstoppable right now. It feels like any clean set that she gets on this near pin, she is terminating it. And it's not, I mean, she is just rocketing it to the back row almost every time. Great placement, not really giving any defensive players for Syracuse a chance.
6 kills for Fiodorowicz. 5 for Sawana Leia for Syracuse. Those have been the 2 main hitters today for Syracuse. Leia doing it from the middle, and Fiodorowicz doing it from the outside. And we've talked a little bit about Leia coming from UC Irvine. She's also from Vegas. Went to high school in the Bay Area, and a lot of these Syracuse players are coming out from the West Coast. They've got 4 Californians on the team. You look at Gabby McLaughlin, Taya Maeva coming from the University of Nevada before this season, both of them from Southern California. And then Marissa Turner, Kalia Nie, and Sawana Leia, also notable from the West Coast.
I think it's a testament, too, for what Coach Bake has put together with this team this year. So many players from all over the country, bring in 10 newcomers, and they're still sitting at 5 wins through ACC play, and some more to come for Syracuse as well. And they've held their own against some really good teams. It's definitely been a decent year on them for ACC play, despite all the results that we've seen.
And Lana Yamada from Japan as well for Syracuse. So going the international route. Not quite as many players for Georgia Tech. 8 of them from, 8 different countries represented for GT. And Syracuse can't quite contain it there. It's now set point for Georgia Tech.
It looks like on the block, Zaria Harriswadi just a touch late getting over from the middle. And that's what allowed that attack to virtually be untouched heading to that back line. It's so tough to play middle against a team like Georgia Tech that attacks from so many different angles and swings so hard.
Eloise Soares, junior from Southeast Brazil. GT can take the opening set here. Dug out by Velez. They set up Fiodorowicz. Goes to the corner, just out. Well, she knew what she wanted, just not the result that she had anticipated.
This is where, of course, Georgia Tech with a comfortable lead here in set 1, but Syracuse has a chance to build some momentum heading into set 2 if they can scrape up a couple more points just to make this set a little bit closer. As we get to the end, they're a team that doesn't like to go away easily.
And it'll end right there. Murray Lorio with the service error for Syracuse, and that ends the opening set. Georgia Tech Rolls. One particular area you're going to point out going into the second set, is it what happens at the net? Is it having a couple more kills on the attacks? What would you like to see?
I think you have to go back to the blockers. I think that they just need to keep establishing themselves at the front and maybe be a little bit more disciplined with the arm angles to try and earn a couple more kills.
Well, good start for Syracuse. First lead the Orange have had today in a set. Here in the second.
I think the call was on Suarez there for going into the net. It looks like Georgia Tech was trying to maybe argue it a little bit. I think it was the right call. I think that she went to retrieve that, crossed under, and hit the tape.
On to the second effort of the second set. And that goes off of Maeva. A strong kill for Mimi Mambu.
I mean, she has really rebounded after Friday night against Boston College when she hit negative 107. I mean, she is just painting the edges right now in perfect fashion for Georgia Tech.
Abby Lee to send it off for Georgia Tech. Oh, what a save there by Velez. Maeva behind. Waller dug out by Fyodorowicz. Here's George off the block. GT keeps it alive. McLaughlin off the tape. Into the hands of Lee. Free ball here for Syracuse. Let's see if they can win the long rally. And it bounces around after a kill once again by Mambu.
And I think that early pancake from Velez is really a testament to how athletic this Georgia Tech defense team is. And even on the offense as well, when you had Suarez running all the way to the back row to get the set, they can just do it in so many different ways.
Fifth kill for Mambu. And that goes off of the top of the hand for Fyodorowicz. Skylar George with the kill for the Orange.
We saw George early on in the first get it done with more of the softer attack. Some good placement from her, but that's what makes her so dangerous when she can flip-flop back and forth between off speed and then just all out off the top of the block.
Mambu again, another kill. Mimi Mambu, the freshman from DC. And she exits right now, but what a start for her here in the second set.
Just continues to go all out on that outside hitter spot. Just so hard to stop when she gets rolling. And it was Fyodorowicz in set one, but now it looks like it's Mambu catching fire in set two.
George is blocked, but it'll be a point for Syracuse. And the other thing about Mambu, yes, she leads the team in kills, but she did not have a great performance on Friday. 8 errors against Boston College, just 5 kills, a negative hitting percentage. She has responded today.
I mean, it's impressive for a freshman to be able to respond after a night like that. Just what she's displayed so far.
Maeva to McLaughlin. And Laea had an impressive start to the opening set. Gets going here in the second. And Syracuse has a 4-3 lead.
She's the one that's executing at the highest level right now, no doubt, for Syracuse. Anytime that you can get her off the slide in a one-on-one situation, that's a point they expect her to be able to convert. And if she can, this team can play at a really high level offensively.
Fyodorowicz once again off the front hitters. And we go back and forth here in the women's building to start the second, all tied up at 4.
Just so impressive to be able to tool the block when you're, 6-7 feet away from the net. I swear I didn't mean it. I really didn't at all.
I didn't mean to put you on the spotlight there, but I feel like I had to. Hey, Urban Meyer did it yesterday. Plenty of others have caught the trend. And that goes down the tape.
Please believe me, it was not intentional. Oh, man.
Well, Georgia Tech went from 6th to 7th in the ACC after the loss on Friday against Boston College. GT also picked to finish 6th in the ACC. Leia to the corner. Point for Syracuse.
I wonder if she's taken a little bit personally that the freshman for Georgia Tech, Bambu, was on the outside, giving her the work early on in this set. And she has responded, just splits the block, goes all the way to the back line. Precision out of Sawana Leia here in set 2, and it's keeping Syracuse in it.
Fyodorovich blocked. GT once again, they go to Anya. Blocked at the top, kept alive. And GT gets it back over. Maeva tried to go for the sneak. The ball pinballs around. Now a free ball here for the Yellow Jackets. Garibaldi up top and down. That's something Bianca Garibaldi does so well. We talked about how she's undersized a little bit earlier, but the ability to get to the top and make it a vertical kill, really good.
Yeah, and she just took advantage of Sawana Leia not standing tall. Leia looked a little bit confused, kind of caught in the motion of who was going to be attacking. She's just going to take advantage of those mistakes.
McLaughlin just comes up a little bit short. And besides that point, you got to like the way Syracuse has come out here in the second set. Even a couple of the points they haven't gotten, they've been extremely close, and it's been because of long rallies that GT has finished off.
They're just not going to quit, and that's what Coach Bake was really emphasizing. They're fired up. They're excited to play. I mean, they got a day off on Saturday, got to go get breakfast as a team.
Something that we talked with Coach Bake about is some of the mental and emotional toll that can be presented to a Syracuse team or any ACC team after you get through the halfway point of the season and then you reach the later part, and some of that wear and tear catches up to you. Harris Waddy tried to drop it in. A great dig by Despagna. McLaughlin blocked. Garibaldi with authority.
I think we need to keep a diving digs tracker on Georgia Tech as this match goes on. I mean, it's just incredible from the defensive end, but this set to McLaughlin, just a little bit behind her. It catches her off balance, and she can't quite get the hit on it that she wants. It kind of forces her to go back behind her center of mass, and it angles that ball right into the arms of the Georgia Tech block.
And an ace for Eloise Suarez.
It's not something you see often from Lani Yamada. She receives at about a 93% rate, but just couldn't handle that one.
Well, the orange for Georgia Tech.
Well, she spent the summer as well playing for the U19 and U21 World Championships team. I mean, she's been waiting for her moment to break out, like you said. She's found it.
Harris Waddy wanted to touch on that last point. And Coach Ganesharatnam is going to challenge that last point. We saw that a little bit earlier in the first set. And so we'll see.
Syracuse is
Coach
challenging a
Ganesharatnam
block
can
touch.
Rebound from his lost challenge to start off the game.
Yeah, I think this would be a big challenge for Syracuse to win. I mean, you're down 11-5 if it stands, but 11-5 is a lot different than 10-6 when you come out of a timeout, trying to get back on track. It's always a little bit of a gut punch to lose the point coming out of a timeout when you're feeling better, you're finally getting regrouped, and then to have it snatched away from you can hurt a little bit. Let's see if we get any clearer angle. All right. Hard to tell from there.
Hard to tell. Part of me wants to say the fingers rolled back on that. That's a tough angle.
Yeah, it's always so hard just because you're looking at such a minute detail in that block attempt. You can check the spin and see if...
Maybe a little bit. Maybe we can roll that once again. That was a... I mean, that's probably the best angle you're going to have. Because you really can't... It's tough to tell if they actually touch it. It's easier to tell if the change of direction is there.
Right. Or any sort of spin. I mean, these are always tough to overturn as well because it has to be so obvious to overturn it. And usually if it's that obvious, then These officials are probably going to get it right the first time.
Yeah. So let's say, well, I guess we won't predict the future, but Orange down 6. This could be a big momentum boost for Syracuse if they did overturn this. Another angle there, tough to tell.
Need an 8K camera to be able to see in on a giant TV to be able to look at the details we're talking about.
Well, Coach Bake hasn't been afraid to use his challenges here today. Second one. Lost the first one in the opening set, and we have a call.
After review, the call is going to stand. Insufficient video evidence. Point Georgia Tech. Syracuse loses their challenge.
And Coach Bake goes 0 for 2, but you got to like both chances there.
Yeah, and you have to give it there, too, especially when, you know, now you're down by 6. You have a chance to be down by 4 out of the timeout. It's a big difference, but Georgia Tech's really turned it on after Syracuse hung with them to start this set.
Garibaldi. 4th kill of the afternoon for Bianca Garibaldi.
And it's just those one-on-one opportunities. She gets isolated with Harris Waddy here. And it's so interesting to see how she really attacks that ball, almost with her body at a side angle.
They go right back to Bianca. And Georgia Tech is on a roll, and it's all started with number 5 there for Georgia Tech, Garibaldi.
And I think that the one thing that you can try and do for Syracuse, back to the previous point about maybe her body angle, is start to read where she's going to go, left or right, almost like a goalkeeper trying to read the foot on a penalty kick just to anticipate it.
8-0 run for Georgia Tech. Harris Waddy finds an open space in the middle. And those are the type of points that Syracuse has had tonight. It's not like McLaughlin or George has been having these high-flying kills tonight. It's been ways like that where I think Syracuse has been reading the defense a little bit better.
Well, that's a huge kill for Harris Waddy as well. She sees the back 3 all spread out, but a little bit of momentum back to her after facing Garibaldi one-on-one 3 times in a row.
Fyodorovich. Well, Georgia Tech's offense has found its rhythm here in the second. 8-point advantage.
I think that the thing for Syracuse in the back line is it starts to become as much of a mental battle as it is your actual physical abilities and reads. Is after you keep missing these attacks over and over again, you start to second guess yourself, and then you're locked in.
Mimi Mambu that time. And this is the type of challenge that Georgia Tech can present when they are rolling on all cylinders. And a reason why they have been ranked through parts of this season. Syracuse gets a point.
I think there was some frustration poured out into that attack from Harris Waddy. I mean, she caught a lot of the net, but there was just so much force put into that spike, and it just broke right through the tape and went over top for her.
Skylar George that time. Syracuse just dumps it over. And the Orange within 7.
Yeah, and I think Georgia Tech maybe thought that they weren't going to target Skylar George twice in a row. The block was just a touch late getting over, but it's really just good vision by George to tool it right off the fingertips.
Mambu way out, and Syracuse adds another. So Skylar George up to 5 kills. Sawana Leah leads the way with 7. Dug out by McLaughlin from the back. They go to George. Down the line. Here's the Spagna. Dug out again by McLaughlin, but too far.
It was a good rally, but Georgia Tech right now just finding a real rhythm in the offense. It's forceful attack after forceful attack for the Yellow Jackets, and I think it's starting to wear down the defense for Syracuse just a little bit, but it seems like they're maybe seeing the ball a little bit better as this match goes on, just haven't quite gotten the placement with the digs.
Araswati tried to find the space again, and she'll come up with it.
A couple of good looks for her, just seeing open spots on the floor, going right to it. I mean, right here, the way she works up, approaching that attack is screaming that it's going to be a fireball, but she holds off and is able to trick that Georgia Tech defense.
Coach Bake's been happy about the way Harris-Wadi's development has come since her freshman year with Syracuse. And that time, Deandra Pierce goes to the back.
We haven't really called her name a ton tonight, but again, another one that had a huge game with a career high against Boston College on Friday, hitting 500 on the 13 kills that she had. And if they start to get her going in this second set, it could be real trouble for Syracuse as Georgia Tech nears 20 points.
Off the block. Point for the Orange.
Super clean set to Skylar George, and she's going to be able to take advantage of that pretty much every time. Had 12 kills against Clemson, played pretty well, hit shy of 200, but she's really trying to rebound tonight and bring some life to this offense in the second set.
Espana's blocked. Orange have found a little bit of momentum here in the midway point of this second set. And I think a lot of it is started with the middles, both offensively and defensively.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, some great blocks up front, some good block touches, forcing Georgia Tech to get creative on offense. But again, the attacks have been smooth for Syracuse.
McLaughlin from the back. Maeva rolls it over. Orange within 4.
I mean, she had 6 kills against Clemson doing pretty much exactly that.
That's exactly right.
Right there on just 7 attacks. I mean, when she does this, she is lethal on it. And she has to use them sparingly to keep Georgia Tech honest, but she catches them sleeping there.
38 assists for Maeva against Clemson, but she is so versatile, and that's something that Coach Bake has really enjoyed utilizing, is she can get a kill when needed. She can assist, obviously, with those numbers, 6th in the ACC in total assists, but she can do a little bit of everything, even with 6 aces against Miami last weekend.
And Coach Bake says she's one of the most consistent players in pretty much all aspects of the game. So it's moments like this when you're trailing to a team like Georgia Tech that he's going to call on a player like her to step up.
Skylar George finds the corner. Syracuse back within 4.
George continues to just look great. 7th kill of the evening for her. Swinging pretty well as she continues to try and rally back in set 2.
Hey, it'll work. Off the tape, and it goes over.
It's the second one for her, just like that. Again, when she serves low and aggressive like that, it's likely that when it does touch the tape, it's going to go over. And a player like her that leads this team in service aces, brought 23 in to this afternoon. She continues to get it done.
Fyodorovic has been a bit quiet here in the second after a really strong start. Syracuse has prevented her from getting rolling. McLaughlin blocked at the top. GT in system. Here goes Fyodorovic. Dug out by Yamato. They go to Anya again, and a GT point, courtesy of Fyodorovic, who becomes the first player tonight with double-digit kills.
Well, aside from that kill, I mean, at some point when you give her enough opportunities, she's going to get one to go. But I think the Syracuse defense is playing a lot better here as they try and close this gap in the back half of set 2. I think they got a little bit of their confidence back. I think it's showing.
McLaughlin with the kill for Syracuse. Only Gabby's third kill of the night, and this is, again, we talked about it earlier in the broadcast, something that Syracuse has had to change around. All these other opponents have been eyeing McLaughlin as the one to stop, and now she's looking for ways to get involved in other ways.
Yeah, and she is in the top 25 for the most attacks. And when there's that many attacks out there for opponents to watch and scout, they're going to find a way to shut you down.
And a nice block by Harris Waddy. Syracuse within 2. The Orange on a run midway through this second set.
Yeah, good to see Harris Waddy back in the middle, doing it, establishing herself as the prime blocker. She's essentially the best on this squad, has brought 74 blocks into this afternoon.
Timeout. Orange down 2 here in the second. Georgia Tech, a team that has been pretty good this year, 7-6 overall. We've talked about Syracuse coming from California with 4 on their team. For Georgia Tech, it's a lot of international. You have players from Colombia to Queens to Serbia. That's 5,000 miles of volleyball journeys all converging in Atlanta. And head coach Michelle Collier talked a little bit earlier before the game with us about how she goes about recruiting some of these players from out of the country.
The NCAA and volleyball changed my life. It gave me opportunities, and so it's nice to get young players from other parts of the world that maybe wouldn't have a chance to be going to school and be having this kind of a structure around their development on and off the court, to have an opportunity to do that. So I think that we've been maximizing and trying to really find the best fit for our program, regardless of where they're at, and really try to put a competitive team together as we go every season.
Collier from Brazil herself. 3 of the 4 GT coaches are from there. And this is a roster of 8 different countries, including 7 of them that played on a national team. So a big global scale, all going to Atlanta to play for Georgia Tech. And one thing she also talked about earlier, Spencer, is the way that the NCAA has become much more of a globalized game than it might have been before.
Yeah, and on the negative side of all this is that it limited Georgia Tech's preseason because they had so many players playing overseas out of the country for their national teams in under 21 and under 19 tournaments.
And 9 freshmen as well. So you have limited preseason time to a completely new team for the most part. And those two things together, I think Georgia Tech would be happy with the way they've started the season.
I would agree, and they're looking good again here in set 2 as they continue to try and extend the run over Syracuse after they close the gap. But I think for Georgia Tech, we talked a little bit about how this was going to be kind of a statement win, something to prove for them as they go forward.
Fyodorovic dug up by George from the back. They set up McLaughlin, and there's a kill for Gabby in the corner. The Orange back within 2. Syracuse hanging around, trying to mount a late second set comeback.
I think you can feel a little bit of the energy coming back into this building as McLaughlin just goes right over the top of the block. Saw some emotion out of the Syracuse players after that point. Trying to get back into it.
Fyodorovic. Kill number 12 for Anya Fyodorovic, one of the international players from Poland.
She's one of the best players out of Poland as well. Played at a very high level over there. Has done great at outside hitter as just a freshman as she matches another 12-kill night.
McLaughlin just a little bit too far that time, and GT back up by 4. These are the little momentum swings that GT has done so well at keeping tonight after Syracuse has gone on a run of itself.
Well, they've also, I mean, this is why a team receives votes, right?
Yep,
because they can
exactly
close
right.
out the late portions of these competitive sets. I mean, they'll let Syracuse creep back to 18, 20 points, but they get the decisive points, and that's what a good team does. That's what a top 25 team does.
Georgia Tech has been ranked as high as 21 this year. Of course, the late season surge to try and make the NCAA tournament here this season. There's a look at the top 16 teams for right now in volleyball. Nebraska is really the team to beat in the country. Pitt, as of right now where it stands, the team to beat in the ACC.
Yeah, I mean, the ACC is just, it's so tough. I mean, they're all over the top rankings. You have 6 teams in the ABCA top 15. And they're just every game, and Coach Bake talks about it as well, every game, no matter who you are in the ACC, pushes you to your absolute limit.
And here's when those tournament rounds start to appear. End of the month, the selection show, and then first and second rounds will kick off December. And remember, the thing to note about this, there's no conference tournament. So the regular season matters that much more for these teams to try and get a spot in that NCAA tournament.
Essentially, everybody in the ACC, especially in the back half, every game is a conference tournament game. That's what it comes down to, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's such a fun volleyball conference to follow, and it's so competitive, but it's also just so fun to be out on the floor competing with these teams.
ACC's got the most teams in the top 10. Stanford at 9, Pitt at 3, as we highlighted. Louisville at 10, SMU at 7. And Georgia Tech with a point out of the timeout to go up by 5 here in the second. Also SMU, by the way. Great start to the season for them, 10-3. Highest ranking in program history at number 7. And they came here to Syracuse last year.
Yeah, they've been a great team overall. I mean, all these teams, you look at the ACC and you might see a team with a record that has, 4 losses like like SMU, but it's just tough.
Look at the bottom left corner of your screen. Shout out Nate Cunningham. He's coming up with a little catch there. Over at our ACC Network Extra table. And Georgia Tech takes the second set here in Syracuse to go up 2-0 over Syracuse. Third set here in the third. It'll be Lana Yamada to start it off for Syracuse, the starting libero from Japan. And it starts with a block. The question is, did it stay in for the Orange? It did not. And they'll award it to the Yellow Jackets.
It was awfully close. It was, I thought, a really good job by the 2 Syracuse blockers in Waller and Leia to slide together, form a nice wall, but it's just been the placement off those blocks. Georgia Tech, just such a strong attacking team.
Maeva to Leia. Off the block. Marie Lorio from the back row. They go to George. And that goes off the block. Another Georgia Tech point. Jackets have come out with a 2-0 lead. What's going to be most important for Syracuse here in the third to try and not let this thing slip away early on? Because they did a nice job of that in the second.
Just have to be really disciplined on defense. In the back row, it starts with good digs, feeding those balls to the middle for your setter, but making sure you're really cognizant about what your arms are doing when you're blocking, getting the right angles to try and minimize how much Georgia Tech can tool you at the front line.
Well, Mimi Mambu with her first block of the night. Tooled Syracuse there at the front on that point. And GT's up 3-0. Syracuse outsides have had a tough time getting through the block.
I think you might just see a little bit of deflation from Syracuse here to start this third. Just Georgia Tech all on the attack right now. You do see Marie Lorio in the back line right now for Syracuse, so maybe one that they're trying to get involved.
And there's the first point of the third set for the Orange. Despite how the outcome of this game arrives later on, Soana Leia has been very good today for the Orange, facilitating the middle.
Yeah, she was hitting about 700 after the end of that second set. I mean, that's an incredible number to have with 7 kills, going 7 for 10 without an error. I mean, she's been one to really keep Syracuse in this game today.
8 kills for Leia. That'll be 9 after that point. at the top, and Syracuse escapes it with a tally.
This just kind of sums up the afternoon for Syracuse. Let Georgia Tech go on a big run, but then mount one of your own. And they started the first set down 4. They start this third set down 4, but they've been able to dig themselves out of that hole each time.
And those are the errors you cannot afford here in the third. Emma Ortiz comes up with an error for Syracuse.
And you always want to try and force a tough offensive set against a team like Georgia Tech. But at the same time, you always hate to give away an error. But again, this is an aggressive serving team. The errors are going to happen.
George off the antenna. JT with the point.
Yeah, just a tough angle. The offense got out of system. You had Ortiz trying to set for George, and it just went a little bit behind and wasn't able to get it cross court.
A high-flying Mambu. Georgia Tech looks like a complete team here in the third already.
And I think Mambu, what's most impressed me about her is her vertical is incredible. I mean, she gets so high at the point of attack, and she is just lethal.
Mambu blocked that time. Here she goes again, rolls it over the top. Gloria from the back. Another block by Syracuse. See if the Orange can finish the job with George. Another long rally. The Orange have come up empty as of late on these long points. George, blocked. We'll go to Lorio, off the tape, dug out. Mambu, out, and Syracuse wins the long rally. The stamina finally goes in the favor of the Orange.
That's a big point to win, just to give you that energy back up, and you want to be able to feel like you can win those long rallies when you get into it, and they haven't won a ton of them coming into this match, so I think that's a big victory for Coach Bake to be able to see, for the players to be able to see, to get those going your way.
Those are just huge momentum boosts, and that goes too far for Georgia Tech, so Syracuse makes it 2 points in a row, down by 2.
Just continuing to scratch and claw. That's what this team does. It's the positive to take away as you move forward in ACC play. You're never out of it.
Look out by Velez. And they set up Mambu. Bringing the boom here in the building.
That just goes back to the previous point about her vertical. I mean, watch this, just way up top. Skying over Leia and Maeva, just never a chance.
Laura Bialeski sends it off for Georgia Tech. Feodorovich finds the corner. And these GT outsides have been doing really well tonight. Started by Mambu there, 13 kills. Look at that hitting percentage, 500. Doesn't get much better than that.
Like I said earlier, it always seems like Georgia Tech has somebody hitting 500 plus.
George keeps it in. The momentum's there for the taking for Syracuse. It's just they come within 1 or 2, and then it seems like GT does a really nice job of fending off those runs.
Yeah, they tend to go on a run of their own, and this is a point where Syracuse, just to build off of the small things, right? You get a point, just try and string 2-to-1 ratio if you can.
Here's Lorio, the freshman. A lot of freshmen on the court from both sides. Georgia Tech with the point, and they go up by 4.
The other thing for Syracuse, no Gabby McLaughlin on the floor right now, which I guess it hasn't made that much of a difference here in this third, but I wonder if Bake is going to Coach Bake's going to put her back in this third set, maybe just rest her a little bit, see if he can't bring her back on to be rejuvenized.
McLaughlin with just 4 kills tonight, 5 errors. Fyodorovic gets through the block.
Just another situation of a one-on-one with Maeva and Fyodorovic. And Maeva's a good blocker, there's no doubt about it. Being a setter, she blocks incredibly well, but it's just one that Fyodorovic is gonna win.
Georgia Tech with the point. And they're going to flip it over to Syracuse after some discrepancy there.
Yeah, it might have been a net violation on Georgia Tech in the process. There wasn't much argument from the Yellow Jackets, so quickly we'll move to Maeva serving.
The high-flying Velez there. Velez again, another dig. One of the top defenders in the ACC showing why. And the credit to that point can go to number 2.
I've been trying to keep it mentally. I think it's her 5th diving dig of the match so far, but I mean, you see it just
It's unbelievable.
stop, drop,
and when I
roll.
say high-flying, I don't mean vertically, I mean horizontally.
Right, exactly. And Yamada just couldn't catch up to that last one, but the defense has been so solid for Georgia Tech, and it's really what's been driving the offense.
That defense again for GT. Garibaldi with the stuff.
8th best blocker in the ACC in blocks per set. And you see it.
Wow.
Why? I mean, just right back at Harris Waddy.
GT
2 sets to none right now. Looking to take a 2-game win streak here this weekend.
Clemson with the win over Syracuse on Friday. Boston College with the win over Georgia Tech. And a 4-0 run here for the Jackets after the ace by Eloise Suarez. Oreo contains. Velez all over the court. Harris Waddy dug out by Velez. She almost kept that thing alive on the other side. Unbelievable.
Well, we saw it earlier from the Skylar George.
Yep.
Velez has done a lot. That one would have been crazy if she
That
was
would have
able
been
to pinpoint that in the back row. But it's a good point for Syracuse to win. Just got to try and chip away here, take some positives in the third, as we do see McLaughlin back in for Marie Lorio.
See if McLaughlin can get going here for some late third set consistency. More errors than kills at the moment. Velez on her heels, contains it for GT, and another slam. Garibaldi.
Just all over it. That set is so quick, and there is just not enough time for the defense to react to that. I mean, you see Waller try and get over there with Harris Waddy, but just the sheer force and power that she brings is so hard to stop.
Harris Waddy with some authority for Syracuse.
How about returning the favor from Zaria Harris Waddy? I've loved watching her compete this afternoon. I mean, she has just gone toe-to-toe with Garibaldi. Seems like it's just back and forth. As soon as Garibaldi does one, Harris Waddy returns it. It's been fun to watch.
5 kills for Harris Waddy. And Syracuse keeps it alive. McLaughlin, too strong.
That was a great save from Maeva, who came all the way pretty much into the bleachers
Yeah,
here
look
on
at
our
this.
side.
This track down's unbelievable. Maeva all the way into the rope.
Polite enough to keep the tape up, too.
That's right. Keeping it neat. Yamada prepares McLaughlin from the back. Free ball here for Syracuse. Maeva. And Sydney Waller finishes the job for the Orange. Some late life here for Syracuse in the third. Still down by 7.
Yeah, this is a great job by Sydney Waller, taking advantage of the one-on-one. Pierce was late to get over. And that's a good spot for Waller to find some success.
Mambu. She's had some really clean kills tonight. That is number 14.
Well, she was an Under Armour All-American in high school, and you've seen why this season. To come in and lead Georgia Tech in kills is just pretty unbelievable for a freshman to do with a squad like this. Brought 215 into this match and has just continued to pile them on here tonight with 14.
And George responds for the Orange.
George has done well just keeping her team in it, along with especially Sawana Leia. Whenever they've needed it, she's been able to come through. She's typically throughout the season has been the one to pick up the slack if McLaughlin is not up to her best.
Mambu's blocked. Second effort works.
And Ortiz was in position.
Yep.
She was right there ready for it. I mean, you saw the block the first time here, but she just goes right over top.
15 kills for Mambu. Having herself an afternoon. Maeva. And Leia comes up short, blocked up front by Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I think George was extra frustrated. I think this one might have been trailing out, but George is out of reflex. It's falling there. You know, the game is just unfolding so fast with how fast these Georgia Tech hitters move that she ends up getting an arm on it.
GT 5 points away from shutting out Syracuse. That block goes awry.
It's a good job by Syracuse, tooling the block. This is a point in the match where you just need to work on things. You need to find things to build on, almost treat it as a ultra competitive practice here in the back half of this third. Not get too frustrated, but really hone in on the little things.
Well, Syracuse will be back home here on Friday against Wake Forest, and then another home matchup on Sunday against NC State. Both those teams about middle of the pack in the ACC, and those would be some much-needed wins if Syracuse can respond to a tough weekend here at home.
Georgia Tech on the other side, I mean, as the service ace comes, they've got a tough schedule here to round it out, taking on Louisville, Stanford, and Pitt, 3 out of their last 6 games. It's going to be tough for them, top 10 teams.
Timeout for the Orange, down by 10 here in the third, but Syracuse did have some fun a little bit early on in October, right before Halloween. This is an incredible video, by the way. The Orange ended up... There you go.
So today's our Halloween practice, and the coaching staff has decided to do Squid Games. So the team doesn't know it. We're going to turn off the lights, play the theme music, and be upstairs just staring at them with our masks on. All right, let's do this. Red, you can walk right. Right. That's actually terrifying, guys. I can't do that. I can't do that.
How awesome. So Syracuse had a Halloween practice before their match against Florida State, which was on Halloween. And, I mean, first off, they went all out with the Squid Games outfit and the coaching staff to finish off the job. That was fantastic.
Skylar George and Ronald McDonald there was, I mean, the effort into that is so good. And then also, again, one of my favorites has to be Zaria Harriswati in the chill guy dog costume. Yep. That's just, it's so clever to have the whole dog head taped around her face. That's just, it's a team where, you know, they had so many newcomers, had to really gel together to make this a successful season. Coach Bake talked about that as a big task, and they did it, and they've had a lot of fun.
And it was one of those newcomers' idea, Gabby McLaughlin, who came up with that whole thing. So pretty fun event for Syracuse. Did you dress up as, what did you dress up as this year, if anything?
I actually didn't get to dress up because we were doing the UNC football game for the news house. And it was due 2 hours after the game, so I actually was not out for Halloween. I was going to dress up as it would have been my girlfriend's idea. Parks and Rec, the FBI guy with the FBI jacket, wears the glasses, and she was his partner, but I forget. I don't even know.
No Amazon orders this year?
No Amazon orders. It was all house-made.
Got it. And that finds Orange. Syracuse with the point. Well, Halloween's behind us. Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of weeks, which equates to the end of the ACC season right around there. Following Thanksgiving weekend. Syracuse, we talked about their upcoming opponents against Wake Forest, NC State, and then they'll finish it off with Pitt, SMU. That'll be an extremely tough weekend, both on the road. Clemson and Virginia Tech as well. And another point for the Orange. We've talked about the tough upcoming schedule for Georgia Tech. One of the toughest in the country, 13th hardest in the nation, and 5th hardest in the ACC. They've been beating the teams they've needed to beat this year. They just can't get over the hump and beat some of those ranked opponents like they'd like to.
Yeah, all their losses prior to Boston College were against ranked opponents, so it's a spot they want to be able to be at, is to beat those teams.
GT ranked as high as 21 earlier this year. Syracuse with some late life here in the third, some momentum that Coach Big wants to take into the next match, and that induces a Georgia Tech timeout.
One of the things you have to remember as well for Georgia Tech is they lost 12 players from last year's roster. And I love how Coach Collier referred to it as changing a flat tire with the car running, with the schedule they have this year and bringing in all those young players to compete at this level. That's a tall task to answer.
GT's had a solid afternoon today, and they'll look to extend that going forward after they get a couple of days off, but they continue a 5-game road trip. Think they're tired yet? They got to get back to things on Wednesday at Clemson. That'll be a home and home, so Clemson will head to Atlanta for a Friday matchup, and then those final 3 matches, not the easiest test, especially with Louisville and Stanford. That is a couple of extremely hard challenges for Georgia Tech. And then for Syracuse, Wake Forest and NC State next weekend. And then we talked about a couple of ranked teams right before Thanksgiving, Pitt and SMU. That'll be a very tough weekend on the road for the Orange. But again, more moments where they can continue to build some camaraderie here heading into the later part of the season.
Yeah, I think it's really important that they dial it in here in the back half of this third. Find some positives to take away, because you have 2 winnable games coming up before you take on Pitt and SMU. But Wake Forest and NC State, those are games that they're going to want to win here in the women's building.
Despagna's attempt ends up out. Actually, they're going to overturn that, so they are going to award it to the Yellow Jackets after a touch there, and that leads us to a match point here in the third. GT wants a touch, but they're going to give the point to Syracuse.
Yeah, all the GT players were calling for it, but unsurprising to see them feeding Mambu here, as They're trying to put away Syracuse with her.
Bianca Garibaldi finishes the job for Georgia Tech. And the Yellow Jackets sweep the Orange for the 5th straight time. Syracuse falls short today, 3-0 to Georgia Tech.
Lots to build on for Syracuse.